Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day. Now, I already opened up my dictionary to a word because I noticed that one of my pages is actually tearing the hell up. And it's for the letter I. And if I have to be honest, I believe the letter I in the dictionary holds a lot of valuable words. So I took photos of it on my phone. And I might spend some time to go ahead and tape that page together and try to make it last. But for today's word of the day, we have... Where's I swear to God. Magnetize. M-A-G-N-E-T-I-Z-E. Magnetize, magnetized, or magnetizing. It's a verb. It means to make magnetic. To attract. Magnetization, magnetizer, those are two nouns and variants. And speaking of magnetized, when I was in college, I worked on a project for understanding the bonding within compositionally complex alloys. And I had to understand a bit of magnetization. Holy cow, that word. This is why I read the dictionary, by the way. This is why I practice how I talk. Because my pronunciations are very lacking. But yeah, magnetism. It's another word that was right there on top. I thought that was the word of the day for a moment too. But, yeah. Magnetize. Great. Love research. I loved it actually a lot. And I did not jump straight into my PhD because I wanted to get a taste of the actual world, reality. Ground myself outside of academia. Because I would see it on the news. I would read about it. There's a giant difference, a giant gap. Or I want to say there was a giant gap. The gap is closing between what I believed of the world and what I now know of it outside of academia. Now I understand if I go back for my PhD. Now I understand the opportunities that actually go within that. And the ability to go ahead and do research full time, even if you are TAing. And I believe TAing is a great resource to go ahead and revisit fundamentals and teach and really understand how powerful the tool of teaching is for cementing topics within your mind to move forward. And yeah, so I actually did apply to grad school. I didn't get in this year around. And I believe that is perfectly okay. That is perfectly okay. I want to thank my mentors. I'm not going to list them explicitly out here. They know who they are. For having written those letters of rec at very short notice. I'm saying this now as a timestamp. Because if I have to be honest, I don't know why I have a fear to send an email out to them. It's sort of like letting them down. Very much, that's what it feels like. But they also... I'm not going to speak for them. That's just how I feel. I'm not going to do that. That's not right. I did claim when I talked, I wanted to give myself 3 years to go ahead and actually experience the world before I decided to enter academia again to pursue my postdoc. And it's because I didn't know if I really wanted to stick myself to the field of research that I was doing, which was computational chemistry. In an age of AI as it's emerging, some may say that it was great that I didn't decide to pursue it at the moment. At the same time, though, understanding where AI stands in the whole scope of this all, as it's still very new to us, I don't believe it's being leveraged the way people are fearful of it right now. So it still would have been it still is a great degree to pursue. And if anything, artificial intelligence will go ahead and automate some of the redundant processes within the research. It's a tool, not a competitor. And as much as these companies want to go ahead and use them to replace people, calculators did not replace mathematicians. They didn't replace mathematicians. And artificial intelligence is only as useful as the prompt that you provide it, which needs pretty precise and accurate and guiding prompts to generate, feedback, or let's say work. I don't want to say work, because work is really not what I believe the use of AI is, but rather as a rebounding board to get you to keep on moving, to go ahead and probe questions that get you to think outside of the box. And sometimes it's simple rephrasing. We'd mentioned it before. I've read it multiple times, and I keep on reading it in all these books. The idea of just it being rephrased in a way that eventually will click. But I think something more important that I read in Ray Dalio's book Principles, in the last sort of segment of the book, well, not sort of, but I believe it's the second to last section, is reading all these self-help books as much as I have doesn't directly lead to immediate improvement. Just because losing weight is important doesn't mean that you begin to just lose weight. You know the right answer, doesn't mean you do it. And it prompts up the idea to have tools and methods to getting those done. So, excuse me. I went ahead and downloaded a task/reminder app on my phone, and I'm going to go ahead and implement that as a constant reminder to go ahead and check things off my list, and to go ahead and send me notifications to remind me on what I should. No, I said I was going to remove that word from my dictionary. What is upcoming? I think a big skill that I need to develop, is independence, or independency, where I'm able to set my own goals and achieve them for the sake of myself. Not because there's a letter grade behind it, but rather because I told myself I am going to do it. And that's a skill. And I want to say it is a soft skill that a lot of people do not constantly reinforce. A lot of us do set goals. Now, it's easy to set a goal. To accomplish the goal is a whole nother task. I'm on that boat. I haven't sat there and practiced it. And the more I read, the more I understand you got to practice. The best way to practice is by doing experiential learning. It's no longer just sticking to the books, keeping a theory. And I read an anti-fragile theory, you're trying to explain the unknown when the unknown is the unknown. Except for physics, and that's what the book says, because physics is simply discovering the mechanism behind something that's already existed. And that scope is very limited. But economic theory and other social sciences and their theories, well, they're constantly always debated. They're always up in the air. A great example is, how did the dinosaurs go extinct? And there's many theories for that. I believe a point I tried to make before where I was like, I think we know who it was, which we don't know after doing a bit of, Googling. There's a Zodiac killer. There's theories behind that. And truth be told, we're all different in our behavioral matters. as much as we've all grown up in similar systems, we all are very much still different. Because we grew up with different parents, with different ideals, in different homes, sat in different seats in the classrooms, all of which have led to our individuality. Although we feel we are very common, it's very misunderstood the amount of individuality that each of us have. Now, I wasn't going to talk about it, because I believe now it's like, that was yesterday, but if I do not reflect on it, it leaves stuff on the table that I just will go ahead and repeat. So yesterday was really, it was my rest day. I didn't go to the gym. And now that I'm here, I forgot to go ahead and weigh myself once again on the scale. So that's something, but I'll go ahead and do it once I walk into the gym right here. They have multiple scales, and I'll go ahead and track that weight. See if I've dropped down about a pound. I told myself I was going to lose a pound a week. But yesterday, I ate cereal for breakfast. I ate, I don't know how many Oreos. I had a hamburger and fries for dinner. Sounds like a really, really grand cheat day. And I also slept a ton. I slept on the couch. I slept on the floor. And I mean on hardwood. I went to sleep even earlier. It was just a bunch of sleep. It was a bunch of rest. And I was also agitated. I have to be honest here. I was agitated. Because of a responsibility being thrown onto me. And I don't believe it was the fact that it was a responsibility, but rather the fact that I was told I could do it without having consultation. Without just being told, like, hey, could you do this? Rather, hey, I know you're doing nothing all day, so here. And I allowed that to go ahead and influence my attitude. I allowed my peace of mind to be influenced by something external. And that's that. So yesterday, I understood that all the things that I was doing really are nothing more than things I do for a piece of comfort, to go ahead and feel like I have some control inside my mind to escape reality. And now that I yesterday cemented that's what these are. These are forms of comfort to go ahead and escape reality, to feel like I have control over my life, when the things that I am doing are not progressing towards the other goals in my life because I haven't found something that is comfortable. I have to step outside my box. Is it the environment that I'm in? It just might be. You know? No. Stop saying you fucking know. Holy shit. Time to go sit in the Barnes and Noble. Go sit at a cafe. And inside my mind, it's because I believe I have to walk into these places and I have to spend money to be there. Which is not true. Not true at all. If the environment is allowing me to go ahead and spiral into these forms of comfort in my mind, change the environment. Go do something different. Go somewhere else if you can. And sometimes that fear inside your mind, if you can, is simply because you believe someone else is going to say something about it. It's because they don't want to see you change. And they want you to be stuck in their little narrative inside their mind. So break that mold. And that's more of a message for myself. I always gotta remind that I'm talking to myself, and if someone else goes ahead and takes insight from what I'm saying to apply to their life, I'm all for it. I am all for it. So, thank you. Sorry, I'm gonna have to be honest here. There was a girl that kind of stared at me while I was sitting here. I'm sitting in my car with a mic, and there's really nothing else going on around me, so it's like a little awkward. Yeah. It's awkward in the sense that I'm getting caught doing it, but I know what I'm doing it, and so I'm no longer awkward. This is my, like, okay guys, this is my safe space to go ahead and speak. But regardless, it's just doing that work, the internal work for yourself. Alright, I'm gonna go work out. I actually got to the gym about on time. I actually woke up at the right time. So, see ya. You know, as I go through my liked music on YouTube, I'm also beyond just a nerd, a geek when it comes to video games. Holy. It's Deadlock, though, specifically. And then I geek out when I see fighting games, or League, or, yeah, okay. Well, anyways, to work out, reflect, I was about to drive away without even doing the word of the reflection. Let me not try breaking any more pages of my dictionary. Alrighty. And the word is... Whoa, it's a name actually. Bolivar Simon, 1783 to 1830. They were the Venezuelan leader in South America's struggles for national independence. Whoa. Bolivar Simon. Simon! Believe in me. Believe in you. Believes in you. I never finished watching Gurren Lagann. I gotta be honest here. Gotta be real. I did not finish Gurren Lagann. But, anyways, regarding my reflection, I did normal pathway bag work, focusing on just touching the bag and bringing it back to me, snapping back, making sure I'm transferring energy to the bag, not just pushing through. Are they waiting for me? And that's blocking the way for the Matco truck. And that wasn't too bad. Also, I'm one to speak about other people. I know I shouldn't be. You know, whatever happens at the gym happens at the gym. I'm supposed to be focusing on me. But the same girl that I looked at that kind of was like, okay, like I feel awkward here. I honestly, once I was inside the gym, did not see her anywhere else. So what was the awkwardness for? Exactly. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. That's just the truthful thing. It's all in your mind. But yeah, bag work was pretty good. Took 3 breaks in between. That was 30 minutes of that. Pretty grand. Pretty nice to do bag work, actually. And then I went and today it was legs. Primary legs is what it was called. But it's like my compound movements. And I did squats. And let me tell you, I squatted to basically like throw up. Like there was only 5 sets, but fuck me, dude. I've been progressively overloading. Are you gonna... No, it's not gonna go ahead and... Oh, interesting. Talk about things on the road. I'm not driving over that. think it's pretty funny when someone follows the pathway that you take on the road. Like, there's a bag on the floor, and instead of just driving this way, I drove all the way around it. And that's because I didn't want the other laners to think I was driving into their lane. That's just my way. But the person behind me follows the same exact path, like ants. Okay, but regardless, the reflection, I progressively overloaded. I hit 155 last week as my top set for my compound movements. So I threw 20 more pounds, 10 on each side. I did 175. I did 2 sets of those for 6. That shit was grueling. Gotta be honest here. And then after I finished that, I dropped 10 pounds, went to 155. Due to 2 sets of those, I did those for 8. I was out of breath. Excuse me. I give myself adequate rest, like 2 to 3 minutes. Like 2 to 3 minutes just for that light of weight. And I believe this misconception that I've always had for myself regarding this like 2-3 minutes. Like 2-3 minutes you're lifting heavy. Lifting heavy is subjective, guys. Like, even for me, if it's heavy to me, I'm the one that's struggling to push it, and you're like, dude, like, heavy is like 315. Like, that's where you should be taking 3 minutes. Hello? I think we've allowed social media to screw our mind so drastically, especially my own. Because why in the world am I going to listen to some social media influencer who's been doing this for 4 years telling me that that's what they're doing at their weight? They're like, what's heavy? But they forget to add the word subjectively, or maybe they don't even forget to do that. It's just gatekeeping knowledge. But yeah, what's heavy to you? If you need a 3-minute break, take the 3-minute break. As long as you hit it hard the next time, you don't give up. You're like, okay, I'm hitting 6. So you take your 3-minute breaks and you're hitting 6, or you're struggling to hit fucking 6. I gotta say it like that. You're gonna be struggling. And then I did one last set. I did 135 for 10. And I believe the more important set out of all those, progressive overload, sure. But my last set, whatever weight that one is for the amount of reps, that one becomes like a baseline. That one actually, when I was reading The Complexity Crisis, and relating this to a book, people talk about the gross that the company's bringing, quote unquote, bringing in, but they don't talk about the profit margin. The profit margin in lifting is your last set. Like, how heavy are you hitting that last one? Like, what is the new sort of baseline? Like, even when you're fucking exhausted, what's that bottom bar? Like, what is the bottom bar? So I did 135. I did that for 10, and I actually was at 6, and I was okay. 2 more. Okay, 1 more. And I get there, I did 1 more, and I got the 8, and then I was like, okay, no, 1 more. And then I got to 9, and I was like, no, 1 more. And I got to 10, and I was like, okay, like, if I go down, I'm not coming back up. I didn't have the safety bars placed. I could have dropped it. Could have gone all the way like that. And I'm pretty sure bodybuilders would have told me, you should have taken it all the way there. What the fuck are you doing? Guys, you guys are IFBB pros. You guys are training to squeeze the most muscle. And I'm not saying I'm not either. I'm taking it to the point where I'm like fucking out of breath. And it's that lack of understanding that fucking gets people unmotivated. All running, all on our own tracks, on our own race. You gotta understand how the people are pacing themselves. So, yeah. But yeah, I just did squats, and I'm telling you now, after I finished those 10, I jumped to the floor. I was fucking out of breath. I felt my stomach curling. I was like, dude, I gotta use the restroom. I was like, I actually set the bar up to do RDLs, and I was just doing the bar, those 45. I guess that counts as something, and I did only 4 there. But I was just like, nah, I'm gonna throw up. Like, if I put weight on this and I start doing it, I'm gonna throw up right here on the spot. I'm not doing that in front of everybody. I'm not doing that. I don't want the gym to smell. I'm not doing that. So, took myself to the bathroom, fucking let myself fucking feel the workout. Pretty proud, put a pat on my shoulder there. patted my shoulder. And I didn't just immediately leave. I didn't just leave like that. I was like, okay, if I'm not going to go ahead and do RDLs, I can still do my dynamic stretching. And so I did. I still dynamically stretched. Made sure I did a lot more of my hamstring movements to actually get a good stretch there, even though there was like almost no weight on it. Still got to go ahead and feel the tension there. Remind the hamstrings that exist. But the hamstrings are still working on squats. I don't care what people say. They do work. When you go down on the bottom and you're going up on the top, it's a full leg. It's what it's called a composition. I think it's composition movement. It's the full compound movement. It's a compound. It's all of it. So, yeah, overall, pretty grand. That was interesting. Haven't felt a workout like that in a good bit. So, yeah. I hit legs pretty hard there. I gotta be honest there. I think leg days like that, if I consistently hit squat days like that with that progressive overload, because it was just progress across the board. Like for 175, that was a new top, and I did 6. 155, I did 8 consistently for 2, and then the 135 I did for 10. That was a higher reps, lower weight. So. And there was a trophy across the board for 135, hitting 10 like that. That was the first time. For 155, last week I only did 6. This week I did 8, and I did them back to back. That was a new high for that. At 175, that's a new high. So, a lot of learning, a lot of progress. So yeah, pretty great. Whew. Time to go take my creatine and go back on my job searching, because no one's coming to save me. I gotta save myself. And while I was trying to get my headspace back, I was out of breath. I was like honestly out of breath. Even my dynamic stretch, I'm like fucking zoning the fuck out. Like when your ears ring when you did something like, have you ever had that like workout day where your ears are ringing? You're just like, this is fucking grueling. This is fucking a lot. And you're just like, fuck. My dad's still outside. Oh, who texted me? Was it them depositing $1 billion on my bank account? Hell no. They don't give shit like that. Who was it? No. Good morning. Oh. Am I on the grass? Probably. But, hoop-de-hoop. That was my reflection. See you guys later.